This is Joyce
and Blake,
and welcome to
Savagely Scaled.
In this episode, we're super excited. This is pretty much our first Instagram influencer on the podcast. And Blake wasn't there to enjoy it.
No, I think was my kid sick or something like that?
I think Weston was sick at the time.
Yeah, and I was like, I'm so sorry.
I'm like, I am not missing this. This is happening. But I'm not gonna lie, I was a little nervous, but I'm so excited that we were able to pull Rodrick Lopez from, if many of you don't know, Instagram. He has a page, a meme for time, with a lot of amazing content and videos that really just make your day and make it super relatable for people who are in CrossFit. At least I really love and enjoying his content. So we're excited to sit down with him, learn a little bit more about what brought him into the world of CrossFit, and also just learning about his platform and what he hopes to do with the platform and his goals moving forward. So we're excited to share a little bit of Rodrick and his dream here with you in Savagely Scaled.
And the beginning's a little bit off. It was also poor Joycey, because like right when it happened, I was like, hey, you have to come get this stuff and this is how it works. So she did the most amazing thing.
I tried.
Yeah. And so it just jumps into, she had asked him how he started CrossFit, and that's where he starts.
That's right. Mind you, technical difficulties throughout it. Blake is our tech wonder, so I was trying to just manage with myself, but I did my best, and I think I made it work. But
she did great. She did really good.
Oh, thanks. So we're excited, guys. So let's get started in
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
I had a good buddy of mine who would constantly post on Facebook about CrossFit, and it was super annoying. And I didn't know it was CrossFit at the time. It was just like, yeah, I got my workout in. He'd post like his weight every morning, chalk handprints, stuff like that. And one day he posted, hey, CrossFit's on TV, ESPN News. I don't know who has ESPN News. And I asked my dad, I was like, hey, do we have ESPN News? He's like, yeah, I think so. So we turned on ESPN News, and it's Rich Froning pulling the sled across the finish line. And I had always done marching band, and I was in music performance. That was my goal. That's what I was going to do in college. Once I saw that, and I had been looking for ways to improve my fitness. I'm 5'7", and I would always, I'm not getting any taller, so maybe I can get wider, gain some muscle. I was 120 pounds, 125 pounds after I graduated. So I wanted to find something, and everything I tried just wasn't that much fun. I just wasn't into it. It wasn't what I was looking for. When I saw Rich Froning pulling that sled across the finish line, first I saw obviously aesthetics, like, these guys are jacked, they're doing a lot of stuff. And at the end of that, it was, if you want to find a gym near you, go to CrossFit.com and you can see if there's any gyms near you. So I figured, I don't know, I'd never seen CrossFit before. There's probably no gyms around me, but let's see where the closest one is. And when I typed in my address, it came up 0.4 miles away. So less than a half a mile away, there'd been this gym that's been there for, whoever knows how long. So I gave him a call immediately and said, hey, I want to come try a class. I just saw you guys on TV. What can we do? And the day before, I had just bought a 3-year all upfront membership at LA Fitness. So
wow,
really good timing. I should have waited one more day. I went, and the coach, I had never seen a lady with so much muscle. She was just jacked. And she took me through the workout. I felt like I told her halfway through, what should I do if I'm going to puke? She's like, oh, you can rest a minute. But that was just the warm up.
That's it.
I was like, holy shit, man. That's brutal.
Sometimes the warm up is harder than the workout. I don't know how they do that.
Yeah, just going in, your body's not ready. So you just get absolutely hammered by the warm up. And I think it was kind of a sense of pride at the beginning of like when CrossFit was younger, 2012 CrossFit, the point was just absolutely obliterate people in the warm up. And that was the selling point. You felt absolutely thrashed. So I did feel thrashed, did the workout, and I was sore for 2 weeks. And I kept going in, I didn't just was sore for 2 weeks and didn't go in. I was sore, went in the next day, ended up signing up. My parents were like, if you want to buy this membership, we're not helping you. I was 17 or 18. So I went and got a job, and I told them, hey, look, I'm a college student. I don't have much money, and I just spent all my money on an LA Fitness membership, like a ding dong, and I want to do this. So they gave me a better price so that I could afford coming to the class. and I started going every day.
That's awesome. I think that just speaks a lot to like the community too. I feel like I've met many other affiliates who say the same thing, like, hey, if you're coming here with the intention of wanting to get better and we see that in you, like we're willing to invest in you, even if that means giving you a discount or whatever your needs are. And I
Yeah.
feel like that just speaks really highly of the community that we have. So that's really cool. Where are you from exactly, if you don't mind?
Oh, yeah, I'm in San Diego. I'm in Southern California.
Oh, sweet. Okay, so we're on the same because I'm in Arizona, small
Okay.
town, Kingman, Road 66. Very, again, all of my friends I've met through the gym because I'm from California also, and I moved out here mainly because couldn't afford California that much. Had no friends. Pretty much joined the gym, and it was about 4 years ago when I joined the CrossFit gym. So I still consider myself really new when it comes to everything. Blake, on the other hand, she's like the co-host. She's been in it for over 10 years. So she coaches, she's been in it for a while. And she just speaks a lot to like how much it's evolved in terms of what it was and where it is now. And I think it kind of brings a lot of perspective for us who are kind of on the newer end of CrossFit, having to jump in and learn everything that the veterans already know. And also just, how do we build the CrossFit community up now that we're a part of it? But that's great to hear that, you jumped into it, you kind of fell in love, and, that's kind of how it starts. So I'm great to hear that that's your thing. Are you still currently doing CrossFit? Are you part of a gym?
Yeah, so I was a part of gym for a while, but I've been traveling so much, it just didn't make sense to continue paying the membership. But I have a full gym in my garage. So today I did CrossFit.com's workout modified. I have a coach as well, but I told him recently, I was like, hey, I'm just having fun right now. I don't want to train for anything specific. So I'll keep paying you to be my coach, but I'll probably not do whatever you're programming for until I feel like getting on a program again. So I've just been picking up random workouts that I see, doing CrossFit.com, and yeah, lots of CrossFit.
What is that like in comparison to like being in a class, right? Because I mean, when you're in a class, you kind of have other peers with you, motivating you.
Yeah,
And there's a lot of CrossFitters who do the garage gym thing. So I'm really curious to how that is for you.
I think it really just depends on somebody's goals.
Hmm.
If for me, for example, I I kind of fly by the seat of my pants. I don't really know. I mean, I have a like a general schedule of what I'm going to be doing each day, but I'm not in college anymore. I'm not in, I don't have a regular job.
Hmm.
So getting myself to go to a specific class, I just, yeah, it's kind of all, and then traveling and things. So about a year and a half into CrossFit, I really thought, I was like, I'm going to go to the CrossFit Games, like everyone thinks. So I ended up jumping on a different program that wasn't just the regular CrossFit class. And it was working on my weaknesses. It was working on gaining weight. Those were the focuses. Those are the things that I really lacked. And can somebody get really fit just doing the CrossFit classes 1 hour a day? Absolutely. But if your goals start shifting, you,
Right,
you will have to add something, just to be able to handle more volume or handle like the competitive side.
right.
I don't think it's necessary for everybody, but it's what I thought at the time was the right answer. So
Hmm.
that's what I started doing. The class would be a 7 round workout or a 20-minute AMRAP, and that was it for the day. And when I did this program, it was weightlifting, it was gymnastics, it
Wow.
was then a Metcon, then it was, running. There was just so many other components to it. And I went through every which program, every program that everybody's heard of. I won't even say the names because everybody knows all the programs that are
Okay.
out there throughout, And after that, I ended up hurting my back, and
Oh man.
I was like, I need somebody that can work with me again because I had a coach, Nicole Dehart from CrossFit Invictus, a one-on-one coach who I picked up after doing that muscle gain challenge that I did with Barbell Shrugged. Some people will know. And having a one-on-one coach was just the game changer because I told them, like, here's when my competitions were, here's what my goals were, and they could look at it from the outside and give me exactly what I needed. Where if you're going to a class, it's more general fitness,
Right.
not really
That's
competitive. You
special.
can be competitive, right? I need to make that very apparent that CrossFit will get you very, very fit. If you're going to be competitive, you're obviously going to need to work on specific things that you're lacking. So when I had the one-on-one coach, I felt amazing. I felt strong. I felt fit. that ended up getting too expensive the more I got into college and had other like life expenses, as my parents were like, okay, we're not paying for this anymore. Like, good luck. We're not paying for this anymore. Not in a bad way, just, teaching me how to handle my own stuff. So I was like, hey, Nicole, I'm not able to afford this anymore. And when I jumped from program to program, that's when I ended up getting hurt. So I was like, I need a coach again, and I need to find a coach. So I ended up finding my coach, who I'm still working with. His name's George Briones. And again, I don't remember the exact question, but working with him, oh, it's different than the classes. Yeah, it's just the different seasons that I get in my life. I love going to the class. I enjoy that. It's not conducive with my schedule all the time.
Right.
And to be honest, I really like working out by myself. So I do love the community and I love being in the community. And when I really want that, I'll go to a gym. I'll go drop in to a CrossFit gym, or I'll join a gym for a few months. And then after a while, I'm like, okay, I want to be by myself again. I love working out by myself. I don't,
That's awesome.
yeah.
That's so funny because I did weightlifting a few months ago because I figured that was one of my weaknesses going into CrossFit. I'm like, I feel like I have the cardio down, I don't have the gymnastics down, and the I don't have the weightlifting down. So I focused 3 months in weightlifting, got injured, and then had to pretty much adapt to like, okay, my lower back isn't working as well anymore. So now I gotta tone it down and adjust. And then kind of opposite to you though, I felt like in weightlifting, I was working out a lot on my own. And to me, that was a lot. To me, I was like, I like being able to be around people, but yet again, I work from home. So I'm like, maybe it's that factor where I'm not around people that often. But being around people was kind of like a motivator for me, I found out. And for the 3 months I was weightlifting, I did learn a lot. But I realized, like, as an athlete, I was like, what works for me best is being in that environment. And I think, like you mentioned, it's different for every athlete what works in terms of what they feel comfortable with. But I think you bring up a good point in that if you want to start narrowing down on those skills that you want to perfect, going to like a personal trainer or a certain coach to help you get there is definitely the big thing. But with you, I had a lot of finances. I'm a single lady, so one paycheck, and then I had to pay PT, had to start paying kind of like getting massages for the injury, and then on top of that, the gym membership. It adds up for sure. And I think having to find that balance for any athlete who's kind of going through that is really difficult. And also just coming back from an injury too, right? I mean, that's a whole thing in itself. But is that still a goal for you? Are you still aiming to kind of head to the games? Like, what's the goal for you now?
Yeah, no, no, no. If it happened, I don't have the same um desire that I once had while I was in college. When I was college, all I focused on was training, coaching, and that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
I would literally wake up at 2:30 in the morning, spend 30 minutes putting
Oh
all
my
my
gosh.
schoolwork together. I would go to the gym. I would do my first piece. I'd coach from 5 to 9 a.m. I would go to college until 9 p.m. And if I didn't finish my training, I'd go back and finish my training. And then the next day I'd usually have off. So it would just be coaching. I would just be coaching the 5 to 9. So I wouldn't wake up early, but I'd work out after the 9. And then I'd do my homework at the gym all day.
Gosh.
And it was just like my life revolved around school and training because I could, I didn't have to pay for anything except
Right.
except like eating. So
Fair.
any money I made coaching, I used it to buy food, and then my other times just spent training.
Oh man.
And yeah, I don't know. I don't know where I lost the desire to train for 8 hours a day.
I don't blame you. I
Yeah.
think that's fair. And, honestly, like you said, we kind of evolve in the goals that we have. And I think that's something that's beautiful about you. And I've kind of seen some of your videos too, where you've kind of had to make the choice of like, am I going to focus on my content creation full time? Is this kind of where I'm leaning to? And kind of how did you head to that direction from saying, hey, this is a sport that I'm really enjoying and I'm loving. Now I'm going to focus on creating content for it. Like, how did that happen?
Yeah, I mean, I started creating content in 2013 as a coach. It was just nobody watched it. It was really boring. I would just do really boring coaching videos. And I will say, before moving on, is if the desire comes back, I'll go for it. But yeah, I'm the type of person that really just follows whatever I'm currently passionate about, and I just do that a lot. So, one day I might wake up and be like, yeah, let's train for 8 hours a day again. Like let's just go all in. It could happen. You never know. But
Yeah.
yeah, when I started coaching, I started getting a lot of the same questions from people. How do I get better at toes to bar? How do I do this? And again, like I said, you don't have to hire a coach to get better at things. The coaches at your gym more than likely can help you modify or even create just a schedule on like, hey, every time we're working on toes to bar in class, here's the 4 different movements I'm going to have you do. This one's going to help you with grip. This one's going to help you with, core strength. This one's going to help you with the movement. And then this one's going to get you the ability to do more toes to bar. And maybe you'll cycle through those. And you know what I'm saying? Like you don't have to be like staying after class for 5 hours or 2 hours, or, it could be even within the work that you're getting the workouts daily. Your coach can be modifying to help you into the skill. So
Yeah.
yeah, so they were asking me a lot of questions. How do I do this? How do I do that? So I figured, why don't I just make videos that I can send them with the answer to their question? Because what I started recognizing is they would ask me a question, I'd spend an hour with them one-on-one for free, and then they would never do it again. And it was getting really frustrating. So I figured if I make a video and I make it really easy for them to consume, if they want it, they're going to put the effort. And if they put the effort, then I will put more effort. But if they don't put the effort, like if they don't ever watch the video, they come the next day, I'm like, oh, did you watch the toast to bar video? Because you asked me about toast to bar. Oh, no. Okay, cool. I'm gonna probably not spend an hour after class going over all these things because you can't even watch the video. And I'll just modify during class for you, because that's the only time that you're going to put effort into this. But that's what we started doing. We started making coaching videos, how-to videos, how to clean, how to snatch, drills for everything, accessory work for everything. And that was, I don't know how many years we were doing that, but the person I was doing it with, I told him, I was like, look, I'm not really passionate about making these videos, but you are. So you take the channel and you do whatever you want with it. I'm going to figure something else out. And I didn't really do anything content wise except post my lifting, post my workouts, and then anything that I thought was funny or like challenges for a few years. And we made memes, like pictures with words on them that we thought were funny for the CrossFit space. And I think it was 2017 that I started taking, it was like photos of people within the gym during the open or workouts. And I started putting words on them. I think one of the first ones I did was we had like 10 belts, like lifting belts that people could use in the gym. And we were cleaning the gym and they were all laid out on the floor. And I thought to myself, I'm like, oh man, all these belts and you still can't hold me up, just stuff like the silly stuff like that. So I take a picture of the belts and I posted it, and it did pretty good. And then it would be, I had another picture of a good friend of mine who was smiling, and the person next to him was like, ugh. So it was when coach is watching you lift versus your best friend, your best friend's like, oh yeah, and coach is like, oh my God, that is really good.
Yeah,
So
that's
that's kind of started getting into that and started posting those types of videos. And then I don't know exactly when it was, but I had been inspired by, oh man, Trevor Wallace and Trey Kennedy. They're not CrossFitters at all. They're just comedians and they made skits. And I thought, wow, I wonder if I could make skits within the CrossFit space because I don't really see anybody doing skits. And so I started doing skits, and that maybe was 2021, maybe something like that.
right.
So I started being in the skits and acting, and that's now we're here.
That's awesome. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, when I started CrossFit again, this was back like in 2019, 2020. I feel like you said, it wasn't really out there yet. Like the CrossFit content was just kind of kickstarting and it wasn't to the caliber that it is now. And I just remember saying like, wow, they're doing a great job of making this so relatable. And not to mention like the CrossFit community is huge, right? I mean, in our gym, there's like so many people who not only see the content, but we share it across, the gym, and we just send it to each other. And I think it's an amazing way of just relating to people, but also just, it makes people feel heard. It makes people feel like they're not the only ones struggling through everything. So, and mind you, my co-host and I started doing a few skits, and it's hard work. Like it takes a lot of work to make sure you're doing the timing right, the music and the editing. It's a lot of stuff. And again, I don't consider myself to be the most tech savvy person, but it takes a lot of work to be a content creator. Like, tell me a little bit more about like what an average day looks like for you in terms of when you're creating content.
Yeah. What's funny is I think it's hard in the sense of being creative constantly, but it's definitely easier than training for 8 hours a day and being in college and stuff, I will say. You know,
100%.
to be honest, most of my creativity comes when I'm not trying to be creative. It's when I'm doing the things in my day that just need to get done. And like I literally have my schedule right here for the day that I have. And it's, you know, I just do normal stuff and I train. And then typically during one of those things, I'll come up with an idea. And I don't just do content creation for CrossFit. I do content for coffee company, Paper Street Coffee, and Don't Buy Real Estate, which is a real estate company. So I'm thinking of ideas, you know, constantly for those things. But okay, I'll just tell you my day so far. And when my wife works nights, I will change my schedule. Then when she works days, I'll change my schedule. So when she's working days, we're usually up around 4, go to bed at like 8. When she's on nights, I try to stay awake till midnight. It's hard. So I don't get up till 8 o'clock now. And you know, I'll drink coffee, I'll eat some food, and I'll start doing like social media. So commenting on things, interacting, stories, replying to DMs. I try to reply to every DM. It's a job in the morning for sure. And then checking up on the other accounts, Don't Buy Real Estate, Paper Street Coffee, my account. And then I'll take my dog for a walk, like a nice long 3 mile plus walk. And I'll usually listen to a podcast and or a book, a podcast or a book. And typically during that walk, I'll think of some fun ideas for anything, or I'll kind of just plan more of my day. Then I'll usually get back and I'll work out, I'll do my primal mobility stuff. I'll be in the garage, kind of like in the gym working. And if I hadn't thought of an idea yet, usually it comes to me during my training. I'll do something dumb, or one of my friends will do something, and I'm like, I forgot that that happened when I was new. Because I do have my brother-in-law will come work out and he's new to CrossFit. So I'll say stuff to him and I'm like, how do you not know that? You don't, you're new.
Right.
And when I owned a gym, so I sold my gym last year, it was really easy. I didn't even have to think of an idea. I would just live and the idea would happen and then I would just film the idea.
I'm like,
Because I
hold
had,
up, hold up.
yeah,
You owned a gym. We're gonna need to talk about that.
yes, yeah, yeah. Yeah, so my day looks a whole lot different this year than it did last year. And
Right.
then, you know, rinse off, post the meme, edit the meme, eat again, and then again, my schedule kind of changed because my wife just went to days. So now I'm trying to plan the rest of when am I going to prepare for the podcasts that I'm doing? When am I going to schedule guests, calendar, respond to emails, find sponsors or opportunities to get me to some of these events, meetings with CBG Nutrition, with Paper Street Coffee, with the companies that I work with currently, and then take my dog outside, feed my dog, and then make my wife breakfast, spend time with her before she leaves. And then now I'm really trying to figure out what to do after she leaves, like housekeeping wise, how to keep the business growing, how to keep things going, and then where to fit in like some time with friends and family there.
Wow.
So it's not really much, you know, I'm really blessed to be able to do kind of whatever I want throughout the day. And it's been a long road, but we're here.
That's amazing. No, it has
Yeah.
been. And I feel like you said, it takes a lot of time to get to the place that you want to. And I think that's a big hard theme of CrossFit too. It's like, how do we stay consistent? How do we stay on? How do we keep people from being discouraged in the gym and outside the gym? But before we jump into that, tell me a little bit more about owning a gym. Was it a CrossFit gym and what was that like?
Yeah. Okay. So I started coaching in 2013 and I was coaching. I told the gym owner, I'll just tell you the whole story. Might as well. Started coaching 2013 and the gym owner was like, we can only afford for you to coach and we only want you to coach 5 a.m. because no one else wants to be here.
Right.
And I was like, okay. And I think they said $15 an hour. And I said, okay, I'll coach the 6 o'clock class as well. And they were like, well, we can't afford it. And I said, I'll do it for free. They said, okay. And I was like, I'll do the 7 for free too. And they said,
Wow.
all right, cool. I just wanted the opportunity. I knew that this is what I wanted to do full time. I wanted to be a coach and nobody gave me the opportunity. The gym that I was at before going to that job, I gave them my resume. I told them I changed my degree to kinesiology and they said I'll never be a coach there, right? I found out through back channels, right, that the owner didn't think I was mature enough. I would never be a good coach. I should never coach there. So when I found that out, this other person that was opening a gym, they said they'd hire me. That's when I said I'll coach for free. So I started coaching 3 hours every single morning. And I was again full-time student. So I'd train all day. I'd coach the morning. and rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat. And slowly it was like, hey, we can afford to pay you for 6. Cool. Hey, we can afford you to pay you for 7, but we're only going to pay you for those 2 classes if you also do the 8 and 9. So now here I am coaching 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9, which in hindsight, this is like the dumbest schedule we could have had, but this is 2013. Like we don't know any better. The owner was new. We're all new. We all didn't know what the heck was going on. And so yeah, so I coached 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 a.m. and then sometimes the noon. And then I would train from, 9 to noon. And then after, if I didn't, I'd finish. And
Wow.
then sometimes the afternoon coach wouldn't be there. So then I'd coach 6, 7, and 8. 6, 7, 5, 6, and 7.
Ooh,
There was nights that me and one of the other coaches, we would just sleep at the gym and then coach again in the morning and then coaching again in
wow.
the afternoon. Like literally we lived at the gym. It was awesome. I loved it. I think I ended making like 25 bucks an hour. I would do my homework and train at the gym. I would just live at the gym. And she's my wife now, but my girlfriend at the time, she lived in San Diego. So then during the weekends, I would do my Saturday training session on Friday, and then I would leave at 11 p.m. and then go spend the weekend with her and then start it back on Monday. And I also went to school at Cal State Fullerton, which is far, pretty far. And my parents lived in like kind of midway between San Diego and Cal State Fullerton. So
Oh, wow.
it was a lot of commuting, a lot of coaching.
Wow.
And one day I had picked up a sponsor. Their name was Past Parallel. They don't exist anymore, unfortunately. They were incredible, like apparel brand for CrossFit. They said, hey, one of these dudes I make shorts for, he's in San Diego. He owns a gym. I know you're trying to move to San Diego because I wanted to be with my girlfriend. And you should apply. You should apply. It's a full-time job. So I had been coaching for 3 years. It's 2016. I just finished my kinesiology degree and they say apply for this job. So I applied for the job. I was not the most qualified for the job. I just had a bachelor's degree, someone else who had a master's degree and, a level 2 and all this stuff in CrossFit had applied. But when I went for the interview, the questions weren't like, what can you add to the team? What can you do to help? It wasn't anything like that. Literally, the first question was, tell us an embarrassing story about yourself. So that was good. And then the next thing was teach us something without using any words. So you have to tactile only, and it can't be CrossFit related. And then the other one was teach us something using only words. You cannot move your body in any way, shape, or form. It's not CrossFit related. So there was other questions obviously too about being a coach and what expectations and things like that. I ended up getting the job. So I asked my girlfriend and their roommates, hey, I got the job. I know you guys' lease is up soon, but can I live with you for the next 3 months? I won't be making really any money to contribute for those 3 months. And they're like, yeah, we don't care. Cool. College days, everybody
Nice.
we just all stuff into one
Just
house and make it
surviving.
make it work. So I moved to San Diego. I lived there for, man, we were down there for a long time. But that gym ended up getting destroyed in 2017, 2018, 2017. A pipe burst in downtown San Diego and filled it with
Ooh,
over 1 million gallons of sewer water. So it was a total loss. I ended up going from a full-time position to $0 in one day. It was awesome.
man.
Ended up moving gyms. Um, I'll save the dramatic story, but ended up having drama at the gym, and I wasn't going to be able to continue building my business if I stayed there. They made it very clear, we don't want you to continue. Rolo Athletics is what my business was called. Even though they gave me their blessing all the way through, I asked them like, I'm going to do ebooks, I'm going to make apparel, I'm going to do all this stuff. And they're like, yeah, absolutely. That's awesome. Do it, do it, do it. And I said, I want to claim my personal training income because it's been, under the table. I need it. I want to buy a house and like be an adult. And they're like, well, we don't want to run it through our business. And I was like, should I just start a business and run it through that? That's how Rolo Athletics was born in the first place. And they're like, yeah, it's perfect. Awesome. As soon as everything started going really well, they didn't like it very much. So I ended up, buddy of mine was like, why don't you just open up your own gym and like, don't worry about them. And I was like, okay, I don't know how to do it. They're like, I'll pay for your first month's rent and you can use me as a cosigner. Because up to that point, I really didn't make any money. So they went to go buy an assault bike while lockdown was going on. And there was this gym owner who was like, hey, this is a satellite facility. We're actually closing it down. Uh, Here's your assault bike that you bought. And he was like, interesting. So we ended up renting out their facility, taking their lease over for 3 years. And then I bought all new equipment, outfitted the gym, and I had maybe 15 clients. And instead of running classes, I wanted to eventually run classes, but I also wanted to travel. And it's really hard to get people to cover. And I didn't want employees. So I was like, you know what? I'm just going to do one-on-one. So when I worked at all these other CrossFit gyms, I also did one-on-one on top of the classes. So they would do, normal CrossFit membership, and then they would do two one-on-ones a month with me or four one-on-ones a month with me for, another price. So all those people who were doing one-on-ones, they were like, yeah, we want to still do one-on-ones with you. Perfect. I'm not taking you from anywhere because you're going to keep doing CrossFit and you're going to do one-on-ones with me. So they came to my facility where I just did one-on-ones. So for 3 years, I did affiliate because I wanted to be able to do the open there, and we did CrossFit, and I told people we did CrossFit. So legally we had to.
Right.
So I was affiliated, and I owned the gym, Rolo Athletics, for 3 years. And during owning that gym is kind of when Meme for Time started to grow. And I kind of found the stride with making funny posts and skits and educating within the description and just kind of morphing all the things that I love together. I started recognizing like people appreciated the metaphors that I used to coach. People appreciated the lightheartedness that I had in the gym. Like, look, it's not that serious. We are here to have fun, but we can be serious at the same time. Like we can have serious results and we can really do a lot, but you don't have to be miserable doing it. So that's kind of where that idea was born, was like, what am I doing well? What do people appreciate about my coaching? And let me just do that on the internet. And I do have to say, it's not like everybody, I know I post like, hey guys, this is what I did when I was a coach. It's not like everybody loved my coaching style. And I get that and I appreciate that. But the people that did like it were with me for a long time. And yeah, I miss it. I definitely miss it. But as that started growing, because I lost the passion to want to grow the gym. I never wanted to leave a CrossFit gym and have my own. It was out of necessity for me to continue building the business, which again, I would have much preferred to just stay in the gym, grown the one-on-one side of things, grown the media side of things, and just done that. And then the gym owner would have kept getting a payment from me for based off of using their facilities, but they didn't want that. So we did this. And after 3 years, the lease was about to be up, and they sent me, "Hey, we're increasing your rent by $600." And I was like, "Geez, oh my gosh, dude, I barely, I don't want more clients. Like I have enough clients. This is not what I want." And that's when some opportunities started becoming available, like with media.
Mhm.
And then I looked at my expenses. I sat down one day because I was like, I don't even know what's going on with everything. And I had essentially just given myself a job for 3 years. I put expenses in front of myself to have to make money to pay off these expenses rather than making money so that I could do the things that I want to do. So I literally did all the math, and I'll actually share this because I think this is nuts. After everything was said and done, if I got rid of the gym, how much money would I have to make to actually just make the same amount of money I was making? And it was like $1,700.
Oh
So
wow.
it's like, okay, I am literally making however much money that like the gym was making and paying that off to make $1,700 a
Um,
month. So I was like, okay, so if I just sell the gym and make $0, I need to just find one person willing to pay me $2,000, and I'm already making more money than owning a gym with the stress of the gym, with the commute of the gym, with the people at the gym. And I'll be honest, in the back of my head, I'm like, then when I make more money, enough money, I can just do a gym again. And instead of being so stressed out about the gym having to work, it will be a write-off where I can coach the people that I want to be coaching and live that similar life without being so stressed out. So I do want to own a gym again one day. I have no idea how, I have no idea when, but yeah, I miss all of those people that I was coaching.
I bet
That's
it's
the whole
hard.
story, I think. And then I sold it because I was like, okay, cool. I can make more money without doing this right now. And I don't think I'm in the point in my life where I can make this grow anymore. So I need to make a change to then maybe do that another time.
Right. But I think it also just, like you said, it speaks to just how passionate you are about wanting to that one-on-one interaction with not only, like you said, your clients, but now it's kind of like now your clients is a bigger sphere. Now we're talking about like all of your followers on Instagram that in a sense you are coaching, and maybe not necessarily coaching directly in terms of CrossFit, but you're coaching them through, I guess, the little CrossFit experiences that we have in life, right? And I feel you in wanting to have that again and being able to coach and being able to have that interaction, and missing those clients that you did work on, because at the end of the day, you know, being able to see that progress day to day, like having that experience is different than, like you said, communicating with them through media. It's a different experience. But I think, honestly, personally, I'm grateful that you are where you are now, because honestly, if we didn't have this content, like it's, again, it relates to people and it's a way to connect with people that not a lot of people can do. So I think that it's a very special thing to have. But let's talk about, like you've mentioned, you've evolved from being, you know, an athlete to a trainer to now kind of jumping into content. And you know, how is that culture? Because like you mentioned, the space of being a gym owner and being a coach is a completely different sphere than being in social media and, you know, having interviews and going to events and interviewing athletes and all of that. So how has that culture changed for you from being, you know, a coach to now being a person who, you know, creates content and interacts with athletes more one-on-one?
Yeah. I don't, I don't, I went to all these CrossFit events that I could when I was a coach, when I was a athlete. The only thing that's changed is like opportunity is much more abundant because people know who I am. That's pretty much the only thing. Like I would go to an event before, right? And it's just I meet up my friends. I just have more friends now,
Mhm.
and the opportunity more more abundant. That's literally it, you know?
Yeah.
Um, Not much else has changed. Like I just go about things the same, and that's yeah, not much to it really.
That's awesome. It also seems like you guys work and collaborate a lot together. Like obviously there's Fit to Serve and then there's Ali Loves Lifting, and you guys have done videos together that are
Yeah.
absolutely amazing. So it seems like in that sphere, there's definitely a lot of just connectivity and a lot of collaboration in those spaces. So what is it like working with
Yeah.
other people who create content?
Oh, it's so much. It's usually just fun, like a good time. It's cool to see how different people approach things.
Right.
Uh, we all look at content and social media in a different way, but we all love it. We all enjoy it. I think. I think most people enjoy it. And I'm down to make videos with anybody as long as it's a good idea or
Right.
we can come up with an idea. That includes anybody who follows the page. They don't have to be a content creator, random coach, whatever. As long as it's funny, it's funny. But yeah, that's super cool. That's honestly the coolest part is before it grew, it was really hard to get people to agree to be in the videos. And it's opened up uh, a way for me to communicate easier with people. So when I would go to an event and want to interview people, people would kind of be hesitant. They didn't know like who is this person? What are they getting into? If I wanted to go to a CrossFit event and make a video now where I interview people, there'd be uh, and there'd be so many people who would be like, "Oh, meme for time," and I'd be like, "Hey, great to meet you. Also, do you want to do this interview?" And they'd be so down. Instead of me having to go up to the and be like,
Right.
"Hey, I just want to let you know I make YouTube videos. Do you want to like, can I ask you some questions?" And they're like, not really, because that's how it started. So I guess that's one of the cool parts. But collaborating is always it's always a good time when you can make it happen. Everyone's been so busy going everywhere and things. But yeah, I love collaborating and making things and just seeing how it goes. Yeah, I guess I don't have too much insight on all of it. I don't really think about it too hard, I guess.
No, that's fine. And
Yeah.
that's why I love to talk about it and pick people's brains, because I feel like it's hard to see the work you do day to day. Like obviously you're creating content, you're doing your work, you're interviewing people. And then it's hard to see kind of like the results of all of that hard work. Like obviously on the other end of the screen, you have people who are seeing you and laughing and interacting and loving the interviews. And then, you know, I feel like you're just creating a knowledge base that a lot of people don't have access to. Like for example, yesterday I was on your live listening in on the
With
interview
Kevin.
you're doing, yeah. And I was
Yeah.
like, see, this is like an aspect, like the adaptive division, I feel does not get enough transparency or enough I guess media time would be the biggest thing. And I was kind of listening to kind of, the competitions. We have Wheel Wad and kind of everything that encompasses that. And I was like, this is something that I had no idea about or that I know nothing of.
Yeah.
And you being able to bridge that gap and kind of bring that topic into the sphere, I think speaks levels. And that's something that I did want to talk to you about, because again, in our podcast, we want people to know about all of these different aspects of CrossFit, not necessarily just the elite, or obviously the big names, like as you know, but we also want to talk about maybe the people who aren't really given that space to be able to talk about things.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit more about, I guess, the affiliations you have and the organizations you support, and a little bit about how we can support that.
Yeah.
That's a
Emotion,
lot.
yeah, emotion disconnected from everything. We're looking at business. Businesses are going to pour money into things that get views, that have eyes. That's just business. If it doesn't make money, people probably won't pour money into it. And that's something that I'm trying to express as much as possible within the adaptive community. The reason the elites and like the elite CrossFitters and stuff, they get a lot of money and a lot of views and people are checking it out is because the athletes themselves are posting and spending money to get these videos done and to promote themselves. Obviously, the airtime and stuff they get is huge. But that doesn't mean we can't also do that with the adaptive community, but it starts within the adaptive community, which is what I'm trying to hammer with everyone. Like, yo, you guys are really freaking interesting, but a lot of you aren't posting on your own social about what you're doing. We're not when if Danielle Brandon posts a podcast, a lot of her followers, a lot of the people within the space are going and watching it immediately. If I post, or if Craig Ritchie, he posted a video on Jules King, she's adaptive CrossFitter. We need the entire adaptive community to go to that video, like that video, watch that video. And guess what? I guarantee if that happened, Craig Ritchie would then go to another adaptive athlete because he's like, dang, every time I make an adaptive video, I get 200 comments in the first hour. I get 200,000 hours of watch time. And everybody at WheelWad is like blasting me and like hyping me up. If we can do that, then that's a win, right? It doesn't come from thin air. It's not like we need more eyes on this and then nobody's like, it starts with us. So I keep telling everybody in the adaptive community, I'm like, yo, when we go live or when we post something, I need you to tell your mom, I need you to tell your dad, I need you to tell your sister, your brother, your uncle, because once those people see it, somebody's going to get inspired and then send it to their friend, and then their friend's going to get inspired, and the more they get to know these people, they're going to be more invested and want to go to the competition. And this is the same as the teens and the masters, right?
Right.
It doesn't start with, because CrossFit does have videos of masters, of teens, of adaptive, and they just don't have as many views as Dal and Pepper, or this doesn't, right? If we can get there, if the community themselves can do it, imagine if every single masters athlete went and watched Jason Grubb do a podcast. Every single masters athlete watched that. Guarantee whatever podcast that guy would be like, dang, I'm going to do more masters athletes because these guys are always in here commenting and stuff. So again, that's emotion disconnected. In a perfect world, it would be everybody from HQ would be recording these stories and sharing these stories. But if it's not bringing any money, if it's not getting views, it's hard to do it because you got to pay the people, you got to pay the person. It's got to be worth it financially. Even if you don't like hearing that, it's not all about money, absolutely, but it is what makes these businesses run. So if it doesn't bring the business money, regardless of who you are, it's not feasible. So if you are an athlete and you want to, let me see. I just wrote this because I keep feeling about it myself, because there'll be some times where I get a little upset.
No, you're good.
Just in my own head, and I'm like, I know I don't deserve anything. Nobody owes me anything. So I wrote this the other day. It says, until you can't be ignored. So work hard until you can't be ignored. Grow until you can't be ignored. Speak until you can't be ignored. No one is going to do it for you. It starts with you and the work you put in. Advocate for yourself. If you do it long enough, it's impossible for them to ignore you. Nobody's going to do it for you. And that's how I really feel about bringing eyes on anything. So if you're a master's athlete, adaptive athlete, even if you're not an athlete, you're not a CrossFitter, whatever you're doing, if you want people to pay attention, you need to do it. You need to do it for a long time, and you need to do it better than how you're doing it now. And eventually, it's either going to work or it's not going to work, and you need to change or pivot or do something different to get more eyes on it, etc. There's
Right.
my soapbox for the day.
No, I love it. I think that's your goal, right? At the end of the day is to get more attention for these athletes, to get more attention for these areas of CrossFit that are not getting a lot of attention. And I think that, like you said, it does start with the community itself and supporting each other in that sense. And I know, at least for me and Blake, we've talked a lot about in our podcast of how we don't like how they split up the games in terms of having the different locations for all of the different athletes. And we're like, we wish there was a little bit more inclusivity in the sense of like, why can't they all compete in the same space kind of thing?
But
Uh,
what's funny is if you ask all of the adaptive athletes, they love it.
they do.
They love it. Most of the ones that I spoke with, because they said now we get a dedicated time to really showcase it. And when it was at the games, not all of the divisions had the ability to compete. So it was actually smaller and less inclusive for those guys, right? Then there wasn't a division for, I can't remember which divisions did and did not compete. But for example, the intellectual disability division, I don't think that division was at the CrossFit Games. So then all those, 10 males and 10 females would not even been able to go to the games. So instead, now we have a separate competition. CrossFit is giving resources to this, and now there's nobody else to be focused on at this competition except adaptive. And it's all their homies and all their friends, and it's the 100% focus. So one of the big things is talking with these athletes and getting their feedback. This would be masters, teens, adaptive, whatever,
Right.
is rather than just assuming, it's like ask these guys, ask them what they want, how we can help them, what's going on. And I think it would lead to a lot more understanding and a lot more like a cooler opportunities for sure.
That's awesome. And do
Yeah.
you feel like the adaptive community feels safe in sharing kind of their needs from your experience in terms of interacting with them? Do you feel like they feel supported in that sense?
Yeah, I mean, obviously I can't speak to what they feel. When I
Mm-hmm.
was there, everybody's really stoked. Everybody's really happy. Obviously, there can always be changes. Things can constantly get better. Things can be improved. But everybody I talked to at the adaptive games literally felt like CrossFit vibes 2013, 2014, 2015, where everybody was at the competition. And when you asked them, like, what are you most excited for? It wasn't an event. It was, I'm so excited. I know I'm competing against these people, but I'm excited to be around this community because this community has saved my life or changed my life. These people I don't feel so alone, and I think that's one of the biggest things I haven't heard that from any other community, but for the adaptive community for sure, some of the disabilities that these people are living with, they don't know anybody else with it. So they live 363 or 2 days a year, and then they get to come to this competition for 3 days, and they have 3 or 4 people or 10 people who are experiencing the exact same thing from all over the world, and they're like, holy shit, it does exist somewhere else. You understand how I feel. So yeah, I think just asking them instead of assuming. So I can't speak to how they feel or what they feel if their needs are being met. I'm sure some of them feel yes and some of them feel no, and it's just like any other community
That's
within the space for sure.
Yeah, I think again that speaks to, and I appreciate you bringing that up. It speaks to the need again of being educated, of how a lot of our athletes don't interact with a lot of adaptive athletes, or maybe don't have those opportunities. And there's a big need for us to kind of evolve and learn more about those communities and what brings them to CrossFit and how we can, like you said, make it more of an equal playing field for everybody. But tell me more about. I know you're obviously collaborating with WheelWOD. Tell us a little bit about what WheelWOD is and what they do.
Yeah. Well, Wheelwads is awesome. I did not think that I would be so excited to share Wheelwad or I literally my buddy Brett. I met Brett. I don't even know how we met. I think he just messaged me on social media, and then he ended up working with me one on one at my gym that I owned.
Mhm.
And he's like, "Are you willing to work with an adaptive athlete?" And I was like, "Yeah, I don't care. I'm a coach. Like modifying is literally what CrossFit's about, so we can figure it out." Like I'm smart enough to figure it out. I'm smart enough to ask you questions. You're smart enough to tell me what you can and can't do, and we can
Right.
figure it out from there. So we did, and he was like, "Hey, you're coming to wheel wad with me. I made it. You're gonna be my wheel man." And again, I expected nothing of it, and I was like, "Okay, like wheel wad, sure, whatever, like okay." And then I went, and you start talking to these people, and you're like, "Holy shit! I've experienced no adversity in my life. You have literally experienced the most adversity ever." And everyone was so nice, and everyone was so appreciative, and everyone was so funny. And I was like, wow, this is really a good time. This is the most fun I've had at a CrossFit competition since 2013, like regionals, where again, everybody was just there to have a good time and hype each other up and a little bit of shit talking. And that's exactly what Wheelwad was. The difference was every single person here was like, hey, thanks for being here. Thanks for being here. Thanks for, I'm like, what do you mean, thanks for being here? Thank you for being here. I'm not doing shit. I'm just here hanging out.
Oh,
So on my flight home, I just had like this profound realization that I have this platform that I have no idea what I'm doing. I don't know what the point of it was. I always tell people like if you're going to start social media, you should have a goal, you should have whatever. I had no idea. I was just like, let me start this page because I think it's fun. And now I'm like, okay, well, what am I going to use it for? And now that I'm not coaching every day, I feel less like, what am I doing for this world? What am I doing for the people around me besides making people laugh? Sure, cool, that's great. But what else can I do? So after that, I was like, what if I can make videos about some of these athletes? Because I don't even need to try to make the story interesting. Their stories are interesting. Like, oh, you dove into a pool at 17 years old at water polo practice, and now you're a quadriplegic. Like, what? And like you're living life through here. And a lot of these people are like, yeah, this injury saved my life. I'm like, what do you mean this injury saved your life? And they're like, yeah, before this, I was on drugs, I was doing this, I was out of shape, and then I found, this happened to me. And so it's just like it's nuts. So wheel wad, I don't remember exactly like the inception or the creator. I just talked to Kevin Ogre about this yesterday. I should remember this,
okay.
but Kevin Ogre got introduced to him. I can't remember his name. In Canada, they ended up wanting to have like the open with people in wheelchairs. They did that, and slowly it's grown and expanded.
Wow.
So yeah, Wheel Wad is CrossFit competition, the CrossFit Games for the adaptive community within CrossFit. And
Wow.
I was told by somebody at CrossFit HQ that they have no idea how they managed all 200 athletes with only 7 people,
Wow.
because they can barely do it at the games with however many people they have working there. So they're very impressed with Wheelwad, the efficiency and everything they're doing. And yeah, everybody should go check out Wheelwad. And one thing I want to note is none of these people want you to feel sorry for them. None of them, they don't, they're just there to compete. Like they're a competitor. They're doing CrossFit. They're not scaling things. They're modifying for their disability. And I might be saying that wrong, but like that's what it is. They're not scaling things. Like go try some of this stuff. It's really freaking hard, and they're really
Yeah.
fit. So,
I'm like, my gosh, it's just amazing the things that they can do. And I think you bring up a good point again. I think it's helping them just feel like they're any other person in the community. I think is the biggest thing. And like there are equals and they are part of the CrossFit community. And as part of our community, I think that as athletes, we have a due diligence to learn about it as well. Same with masters, right? I feel like that's another group that I feel doesn't get as much rep either, but they work just as hard. I mean, sometimes even harder than any of us other athletes. So I think it's an amazing message that you're trying to follow here, and also one that I think needs a lot of support and transparency. So I'm glad that we can discuss it and bring it to the table here. And like you said, I know that your content has evolved from where it started. You know, you were kind of an athlete, a coach. You're all of these things now, and encompassing kind of a person who does all of these things at once and wears many hats and promotes different goals. And like you said, you kind of started this not knowing where your content was going, and now it's heading towards a place of inclusivity, a place of education, a place of just helping athletes be their best selves and being able to show that across media. So kind of jumping more less on the social media content and kind of getting to know you a little bit more. Tell us a little bit about, who's your favorite CrossFit athlete to follow? What are some of your favorite CrossFit moves? And then what are some of your not so favorite CrossFit moves?
Yeah, Rich Froning is the one I saw pulling that sled across the finish line, so he will forever be like
The
Rich
epitome.
Froning, literally, like he's the
Yes.
dude.
My goat
Um,
is Matt Frazier. Forever will
which
be my goat.
Yeah, exactly. Like Matt Frazier. I mean, Matt Frazier is great too. And but it was Rich Froning who I saw, for the
True.
all those years, all of the behind the scenes, like day in the life videos that came out that CrossFit used to put out. That's all I watched. It was literally Dan Bailey and Rich Froning living together. So it's just like I felt like my CrossFit growing up was with them.
No,
And
that's fair.
all those Josh Bridges, Matt Chan,
It's
all the OGs, Jason Khalipa. So yeah, everybody else now is also cool. It's just when I think back to when I started CrossFit and I was in college, and it's like 10 p.m. on summer vacation, and I just worked out. I'm at home on YouTube watching Rich Froning in his garage,
yeah.
or him at Tennessee Tech or wherever it was that he was doing all those workouts. So, yeah, follow is my favorite. I don't know. I don't know who do I laugh at the most. I'm not too sure. I'd have to probably like swipe through my
Oh no, you're good.
Instagram. Let's see.
Yeah,
Let's see.
definitely not a bad person to follow. He's one of the OGs for sure.
Well, the first person that pops up here is Colton Mertens.
Oh, there
So
you go.
Colton Mertens is a good dude, and you know what is he's been getting funnier and funnier.
He,
He's posted memes, he's posting silly things. I definitely appreciate Colton, everything that he's doing, and I mean, man, that guy inspires me to work hard. Oh, Rebecca Fuselier
oh,
is
I
my
love
favorite, my
her.
favorite memes for sure. Yeah,
She does a
uh,
lot of production value on her stuff. She comes up with great things.
two really hard workers right there.
Yeah.
It inspired me to want to work harder and just do more and
Dude,
be
and
better.
she's like a full-time athlete too. So I'm like, how does she do it?
I mean, Colton is too. They're both way
Like,
better athletes
it's hard
than I can
to,
even fathom, and
right?
they're hilarious. And I like that they kind of like they have different vibes. I feel like me and Rebecca's videos are pretty similar,
Yeah.
and Colton's are a little bit grittier, a little bit farm, like on the farm, literally. And I love that. I love that. I just like all the
Style.
aspects of
Yeah.
everything for sure. Yeah.
How
I mean,
about
I watch and I'll watch everybody. I'll care. I'll watch Andrew Hiller. People might not like him. I'll watch his videos. But I'll also watch everybody else, like everybody
everything?
else has videos. I just want to see from different aspects what people think and what people are doing. So I'll watch Lauren Khalil's videos, anything that people are putting out.
A little variety. That's awesome. And
Yeah.
how about for workouts? Because I know you do a variety of things in your videos. Is there like a lift that you just love to do? And
Yeah.
then
Power cleans.
oh, there you go. Power, I mean, I personally am a snatch fan, but power
Yeah.
cleans tend to be the go-to. And how about your least favorite CrossFit like lift?
Yeah. Least favorite, probably pistols.
Okay, I can't even do one, so I'm not even there yet.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I
Pistols
yeah.
are GHDs.
Okay, GHD is not bad. I hate thrusters. I can't. And I'm a 5'1" young lady, and it shouldn't be a problem because I'm really short. But I just there's something about overhead squats and any overhead bar thing that I'm just not crazy about. So that's mine. But I'm working on it. I'm working on it.
Absolutely.
And then tell me about like for all of our beginner CrossFitters who are just joining and are learning about CrossFit, what is one thing you wish you knew at the beginning of your CrossFit journey
Oh my
that you think
gosh.
would be so helpful
So,
to people who are
so many things, so many things. I'm just going to list a few. I can't just say one. Okay, number one, sleep is the most important thing in your whole entire life. And if you are waking up early or drinking caffeine at night so that you can work out instead of having quality sleep, don't be a ding dong and focus on your sleep. You would get way more out of sleeping. So sleep. Second, nutrition is really important. Even if you're 18 years old, if you start focusing on your nutrition now, your life will be changed forever. And if you put off nutrition, you're going to have to spend a lot of time not fixing it, but breaking habits. So if you just do it well now from the beginning, you're not going to have those habits to even think about. You're not going to want those other things. And nutrition, I don't think people realize nutrition and sleep will help intensity, which will help progress. So if you want to get good faster, it's not the new lifters, it's not your new belt, it's not doing two workouts a day. It's sleeping enough and eating enough so when you go do workout, you can focus on intensity. Last thing is taking care of your body and doing accessory work is absolutely pertinent to successful aging. Aging, not being 50 years old, but successful aging, going from 18 to 30 to 40 to 50. If you put those things off and you just absolutely hammer your body without ever taking care of it, you're going to regret it. So if you can focus on sleep, nutrition, intensity, and then accessory for your body so that it's working how you want it to work, you will be in a very good spot. And that's if you're starting at 18, if you're starting at 60, if you're starting at, doesn't matter. Whatever you're doing now, focus on those things. And those are the biggest levers you can pull in in everything, like your entire life.
Yep.
Those make the biggest differences.
For me, the nutrition is always the toughest part. I'm always like, I'll run an extra mile. I'm like, just let me have my little scoop of ice cream. But yeah, I think it's a finding that balance. And I think that's one of the hardest things for athletes or people who are just starting is how do I stay consistent? How do I not get discouraged from continuing in this path? Because I think it's probably within the first month that a lot of people are just like, I'm too sore. I'm not going to show up the next day. Like maybe that means I need to take a rest day. And a lot of coaches are like, no, if you're feeling sore, come the next day. Once you start moving, you're going to feel better. And I think that's one of the biggest things that a lot of new coming athletes feel is, not being able to gauge that. And that often leads to people just not wanting to continue going. So how do you keep athletes from being discouraged? Like, what are some of the tips that you would recommend for athletes to continue showing up?
Yeah, I tell people to create a schedule, and I tell people the worst case scenario, how many times could you get to the gym? I'm coming 7 days a week. No, that's not going to happen. Give me the worst case scenario. Like worst case scenario, I can come 2 days a week. Perfect. Let's start at 2 days a week. And I want you to do that for a month consistently. And when you show up, I want you to really just burn it down. Like I want you to do a good job. And I want you focusing on the other things as well. And some people are like, I can do more than that. Perfect. We're not going to do that yet. Maybe, okay, you really want to do more? Let's do 3 days a week. And then the people that they don't even really need any, I'm like, hey, what's your schedule? Okay, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday. Perfect. Let's just stick to that. You kind of can gauge what people need, what kind of motivation they need, what they don't. And when I worked at Power Keg, we would just run a report every day. You'd run the report and see who's been gone for more than 2 or 3 days, and then you would send them a message, call them, hey, is everything good? Hope everything's good. See you back in the gym.
Awesome.
And a lot of times people like, oh, I forgot to tell you guys I'm gone. And that was, I feel like, one of the biggest things is developing a relationship with people so that they can trust you. Makes everything easier. Nobody wants to trust you if you're a dick. and if you don't, I hear this from coaches a lot. Well, I've told them 100 times. So if they want to do it, they're just going to do it. No, you need to be, I'm really annoying. By that, what I mean is like, if my dog squeaks a toy a million times, I will also I like that. I like just sitting there and squeaking the toy until like it sounds weird in my ears. I'm just really persistent that way. That's how you need to be with your clients. If they are still being mean or unaccepting to any of the advice that you're giving, you need to continue asking and finding ways. Why aren't they listening to you? Maybe it's because you never had the hey, what do you do? Like, how was your weekend? What did you do this weekend? They really love golf or something. Go find some information about golf so you can talk to them about golf. So then you can relate whatever they're doing to golf. Or they have a kid and they love being a dad. It's like, hey, I just want to let you know, I know you're doing this movement, but we should actually focus on this because don't you want to be able to pick up your kid and do this and do that? And they're like, oh, it makes sense now. So being more persistent than your what's the word that I'm looking for? When somebody stubborn, you have to be more persistent than they are stubborn. This is supposed to be advice for people, I feel like, but that's for coaches.
Hey, coaches might be listening too.
Yeah.
A little bit of both.
Yeah. But that's the things that we would do is like develop the relationship and then everything gets easier. If they haven't showed up, you call them, you're like, hey, how's everything going? What's wrong? How can I help you?
Yeah, and I think it's so funny that you bring that up because Blake and I were talking about this the other day, that it's so hard for people not to be close to their coach because you as a coach are seeing them in their most vulnerable spot sometimes when they're working out, or you don't know what that person's going through that day. Maybe they went through something hard and they show up to the gym for a win. And coaches almost become more than a coach. They're kind of like a lending ear or a shoulder to cry on. And I see it all the time in the gym. You know, things are going on. They're talking with athletes in the corner about something deep and someone's crying. And
For sure.
I commend,
Million times.
yes, I'm like, I commend coaches so much for being able to put on a coach's hat and then the next second step with an athlete and say, hey, what's going on? Tell me about what, you know, what's going on at home. And I'm like, it takes a certain person to be able to do that. And that's why I always give coaches mad props, because they're going above and beyond being just a coach to be a person and to meet you where you're at. And I think that's a beautiful thing and a beautiful skill that is not easy to keep on. So I commend you for being that for a lot of people. That's a big thing.
Yeah, for sure. And coaches, sometimes people aren't gonna like it. And sometimes you're not gonna get along with everybody. I just need to make that, I just want to make that apparent that I didn't live this world where I was just crushing it all the time and everybody appreciated me. I know there's athletes out there that I was persistent with that I could not crack the code. They just didn't like what I was doing. Maybe I did miss some missteps. Obviously, I wasn't perfect, right? So there would be times where maybe I said the wrong thing or I had the wrong action, and we just never meshed. So it doesn't always work. You can't always figure out but the cool part is some of those athletes that maybe we just never really vibed with, they vibed with another coach. So then when there was an issue or something not happening, you go to that other coach and you're like, yo, help me, please. I need your help.
Hey, no,
So,
that's true. Sometimes another person tells you and it just clicks, and you're like,
yep,
oh, there it is. Now there's my clean, and
yep.
that happens all the time. But like you said, I think that's what makes coaches special and unique too, is that they each have their own style and they bring that to the classes. And sometimes it's a matter of a playlist. Like sometimes I'm like, oh, I'm not gonna go to Coach Chris's class because he's playing heavy metal, and that I'm not feeling that today. I'm feeling more pop, so I'm gonna head for the 4:30 class.
Oh my goodness.
But yeah, it's a little bit of everything, you know, so it's appreciated. Um, the last two questions I did want to hop on is more
Yeah.
about how can we support you as the listeners. I know you talked a little bit about, you know, looking at videos that you might release on certain interviews, things like that. Is there any events, any competitions, or any pages that you want to, you know, bring up to the podcast that we can maybe support or that you would like us to look at?
Yeah. Well, first off, obviously, I don't want people watching or liking things they don't actually like. But if you do spend the time and watch any of my content that you appreciate, liking and sharing and commenting are huge. The best thing you can do, better than all those things, is watching it all the way through. I think that's something that people don't recognize is if you watch something all the way through, that is like gold for whatever platform you're on, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, whatever. If you watch it all the way through, they're like, ooh, watch time. This kept this person on the app. Yes, please. So that's the biggest thing.
Good to know.
And then just checking, yeah, just giving the adaptive content a chance. So you get to know some of these people. They're very interesting. They have crazy stories. And yeah. And then the companies that support me, CBG Nutrition, if you're looking for a nutrition coach, they pay me and I promote CBG Nutrition. And then it helps me get to these events and all that stuff. Primal Mobility. They're releasing a new mobility program that's more affordable. They're kind of changing a little bit of their structure so that everybody can have access to it. So highly recommend checking out Primal Mobility. Paper Street Coffee, obviously, delicious. And making sure you guys are checking out Wheel Wad and all the stuff that we're doing there. I'm probably missing something, but
Oh no, you're good. And then remind us on your Instagram and your YouTube and how to search that. What should we
oh
search?
yeah, it's a meme for time, all one word, memefortime, meme
And
for
again, you
time.
said you have Instagram, YouTube, anything I'm missing there?
Those are I don't really care about anything TikTok or anything. So
That's
yeah, Instagram, YouTube, those would be the biggest ones for sure.
awesome. Well, that's
And I enjoyed it. If you're a CrossFit coach, continue looking for ways to improve your coaching and don't be afraid to say you don't know something. Your athletes will appreciate and respect if you don't know something than if you pretend to know something. Get your level 2, try to get your level 3, keep researching and create a community of people that you can use for resources when you don't know something, a good physical therapist, a good chiropractor, somebody who specializes in mobility and nutrition, because it's impossible for you to know everything. But if somebody asks you a question and then you have a friend who knows more than you can go ask them and then you can sound really smart.
Yep. Can't go
Yeah.
wrong.
And if you are a athlete, just keep showing up. Consistency is going to be your best friend. And stop skipping sleep to train. Get your sleep in and get your nutrition situated, because your older self will thank you and your current self will be able to go harder in the gym.
That's right. We're a work in progress. We all are. But I think, like you said, being able to start focusing on the things that are going to make you stronger is always a good thing. So
Yeah. One last thing, actually, with what you had just said, I feel like a lot of people fall off the horse and then they walk the horse back to the starting line and restart. And if you fall off your horse, just get back on and continue from where you are. If you miss a day, or if you eat something that you knew that, I didn't want to go over my calories with this, that's all right. On the next meal, pick it back up. The next day, go back to the gym. Don't wait for the first of the month. Don't wait for January 1st. No. You messed it up today. You don't have to continue doing that tomorrow. You don't have to continue doing that the next hour. You can just start. So stop taking your horse back to the starting line and just get right back on it and continue riding in the direction you want to go.
beautifully said.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Thank you, Rodrick, so much again for your time, for all of the feedback. And just, I know it's a Saturday. I know you got things going on, and I'm just
I have nothing going on, I'll be honest. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Well, that was great. And I was so sad that I couldn't make it.
I
But
know.
again, you did such a good job.
We're
with
missing some
everything
of that Blake flair, you know, a little Blake comedy.
And it was fun to get to know, because I know this was one of your picks, because I only knew like his Instagram stories, and I was like, oh, he's a funny guy. But to get to know like his what he's trying to do with Will Wad and things like that, and those athletes, was amazing to hear.
Yeah, I think it's really important to just get a little bit of perspective of, you know, what these content creators get to see on a day-to-day, because of course we do get an opportunity to see, you know, their videos and their content, but they're more than that. You know, they're making an effort to kind of promote individuals in the sport and just using their platform to kind of elevate the sport as well. And I think that's very telling and just a great thing to kind of see out there. And I'm excited that he wanted to come here and sit down with us and talk about these things. So thank you, Rodrick, for your time and, you know, for sharing a little bit of insight of what you do. And we're excited to continue following you and your content. So please, everyone who hasn't, if you don't already, go to Instagram and add this man. He's a fun content creator, and you'll really enjoy his posts.
And where are you gonna find him on Instagram? What's his name again?
Meme for Time.
He has such great stories and things like that. Yeah. But yeah, we also will have his Instagram info in our show notes. So show notes you'll find when you see our little thing on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or Amazon, or anywhere where you have. It will say what we say during it and give you all of our links. And that's the same for our stuff. So yeah, go take a look at his account on Instagram, and then also like, share, follow him, and then don't forget to like and share for us too.
Yeah, that's right.
And if you have any like influence that you feel like we should go reach out to and get to know what they're promoting, or affiliates, or any episodes that you want us to talk about or anything like that, please feel free to reach out to us on our email, which is savagelyscaled1 @gmail, or you can find us at Instagram also at savagelyscaled. We also have a TikTok at savagelyscaled too. But yeah, just reach out to us, and we love to actually hear back from some of these content creators.
That's right.
And we'll have more in the future too.
I know. It's so much fun.
Exciting.
It is.
If you feel like this podcast is your swig of pre-workout, please again, like, follow, leave a review, hit those 5 stars. And remember, don't be a Karen, be a Sharon.
That's
and
right.
keep sharing.
I'm telling you, we need t-shirts.
I know. Until
we meet
at the whiteboard again.
Bye.
Bye.
Guys.